Hi folks, welcome to the channel and welcome to the man cave. So what are we doing today? Well, today we're going to be having a look at this, and this is the third eye blind spot detection system from Innovv. So the system was launched here in the UK in June 2023, about 10 months ago, and there have been many YouTube videos put out there for you folks to have a look at. So I am a little bit late coming to the party, but a few weeks ago Innovv contacted me and asked me if I would want to have a look at the third eye blind detection system and review it, and I said yes, absolutely no problem at all. Big disclaimer, they have sent me this free of charge. However, I did say that I would only review it if I was able to give my honest opinion on it, and Innovv have had no input into the content of the video. So without further ado, let's have a look at the system. So exactly what is the system? Well, it's a radar-based system that informs you, the rider, of traffic approaching you from behind. So it does this using a series of warning lights with or without an audible warning tone. The choice is yours whether you have the tone or not. So the radar system has a working range of about 50 meters to the rear of the bike and has a field of view of some 150 degrees. So within that 50 meter working range, the unit looks at lots of targets inbound to the rear of your machine, and if it thinks any of those targets fit certain criteria, i.e. they're going to collide with the back of the bike, then it will generate that warning to you either visually or audibly if you've got the sound switched on. And it's basically all based on a 3-second window of impact to the rear of your machine. So basically that's how it works. The unit comes in two options, or flavors as I like to call it. This version here is the mirror mounted version. So this is the one that's going to be fitted to my Bmw R1250Gs over here. If you don't like things being stuck to your mirror, or you've got no mirrors on your bike, or whatever the reason may be, but you don't want to fit or can't fit this version to your bike, don't worry, Innovv have got that covered because they do a watch type display unit as well. But whether you go for the watch type display or the mirror mounted version, the price is exactly the same. It's going to set you back about £259. Is that expensive? I have no idea what price safety, but either way, Innovv have actually given me a 10% discount code, and that code I'll put in the description down below. Folks, the unit is not designed to replace that really important over-the-shoulder lifesaver check, and it's called a lifesaver check for that reason. However, anything which you can bring into your armory to increase your overall situational awareness, SA as I call it in my job, then that has to be a good thing from a safety point of view. Yes, there's going to be people out there who are moaners and groaners who will say, I don't need to spend X number of pounds on something like this when I can just look over my shoulder. But just press the pause button a little bit, folks. So you know what it's like if it's chucking it down with rain, it's foggy, it's night time, you've got water on your visor, water on the mirrors, and there's spray being chucked up. Don't you think it'd be quite a good thing to have something in the mirrors or the watch style display that just sort of blinks at you to say, oi, there's something to your left or to your right or coming up directly behind you, just to increase your situational awareness, just in case you're going to pull out to overtake something. So yeah, so I think it's a really good thing actually, although I haven't tested it yet. We're going to put it on the bike and then go out and do some testing. Hopefully we'll get some wet weather and I can see what it's like at night time in the rain, if we can sort that out. And also if there's people out there who, you know, something's happened to the neck and they can't do they have reduced mobility in the neck, you might want to have a look at this. And also if there's going to be people out there who are riding bikes, and I've got a friend of mine who's only got one eye, but he still rides a motorbike. I don't quite know how he does it. But there's going to be folks out there with reduced vision in either eyes, hopefully not both eyes. So this will just increase their situational awareness depending on where their, I'm going to call it, blind spots are, to help them out before they pull out into, you know, potentially a dangerous situation. Overall, it will increase everybody's situational awareness. So it has to be a good thing. And let's face it, folks, the likes of BMW, Ducati and Triumph are now fitting blind spot detection devices to their premium machines. So if it's good enough for them, it's got to be good enough for us. And the great thing about the system from Innovv, that it can be fitted to any bike. So let's have a look and see what we get in the box. As usual, Innovv do some really nice packaging, and the third eye is no exception. There's the picture of the actual radar unit itself. We'll look at that very shortly, and just going around the outside of the box, very nicely put together. And those are the operating parameters, and then on here it just gives you a bit more information as to what the unit does. So it can track up to 64 targets, 150 degrees of view, field of view. Very well made. We'll have got that very shortly, and it's IP67 waterproof rated, and allegedly it's easy to install. So let's have a look inside. Inside the box then, nice photo. There's the radar unit, and there's the two mirror mounts. So what's under here? There's some other stuff under here, so let's get everything out. So we have the all-important instruction manual. So folks, read this before you do anything, so you know a bit more about the system. And then it looks like, what do we have here? We have a couple of stickers. So under here then we have all of this. We have a bag of stuff, which is basically a bracket to secure the radar detector to the rear of the bike. And then we have some 3M sticky pads, and they are used to secure the mirror display warning units to the mirror or to the mirror stalks. So this bundle of stuff here, it's actually the control box. It's really nicely made, folks. Look at the quality of that. Very nice. None of this actually separates, so you can't actually unplug something. So, but this is beautifully made, aluminium. So on here we have the power LED light, then there's the buzzer, but you can turn the buzzer off if you don't want the audio sounding. And then just look at the quality of that, really nicely made. And then we have the power supply. That's a 3 amp fuse, so that will go to a power supply. We'll talk about that very shortly. And then we have the actual warning, or the mirror warning display units themselves. Again, I think these are aluminium, but the quality on that is really nice, very nice. And then we have a right one, and then we have the left one, and you'll see on the left one there's a speaker symbol, and basically you can actually deactivate or reactivate the audio coming out of the control box. And then the final cable we have there is the cable which connects the warning display box or the control box to the rear radar unit. So let's have a quick look at the radar unit. The radar unit then, really nicely made, again aluminium, nicely put together, serial number on the back there. Quality is very, very good. Degrees, inclination thing for when you angle it on the back of the bike as per the instructions. And then just remember, folks, just to take this clear plastic cover off after you've mounted it. So that's just there for protection. And then we have a connector plug, and it is of very nice quality, and all the stuff is IP67 rated. So folks, that is what is in the box. It's a fairly easy installation, folks, but before you do, inwardly digest the instructions that Innovv give you, and also jump on the internet and have a look at one of these YouTube videos. But first thing I'm going to do is actually make sure that the device from Innovv is actually working before I take some panels off and install on the bike, only then to find out that they have sent me a defective unit. But I'm sure that's not going to be the case. So it's a fairly easy installation. So we have the control unit with the red and the black wires. So I've got a power distribution module located under my front seat. So basically I'm going to put the ground and the positive into that power distribution module, and it's a switched system anyway, so it means that there'll be no power going to this unit until the ignition is switched on. And then before I do that, I'll plug the radar in as well if I need to do that, and I'll just test the whole system before I then actually install it on the bike. So let's plug these two wires into my distribution module, and then we'll take it from there. So here we go then, let's just switch the unit on, and we should get the flashing lights and a few audio tones, and then that way I know the system is working properly. So here we go, let's switch it on. So there we go, that's it. So we've got the green LED light on, so power's there. These things are flashed. We've got a couple of different audio tones, and that has done exactly what it says on there. So all I need to do now is fit all of this to the bike, and that should hopefully take me no more than 20 minutes. Hey folks, fingers crossed, no more than 20 minutes. 20 minutes, absolutely no idea where I got that time from. It was more like 2 hours and 20 minutes. Planning and preparation is the key. Just take your time with the Innovv Third Eye control box, all the cables and wires are actually attached to it, so you can't unplug stuff from it. So just lay it all out, and I did under the seat, and then just untangle the bird's nest, and then just practiced where I was going to run the lighting units to. And I was lucky that all I had to do was take this top panel off and then just feed the cables through here, and then just attach them to the current cables on the handlebars left and right, and then attach them to the mirror stalk. In my case, I was lucky. I've got 719 mirrors, flat face on here. So what you need to do is, once you've run the cables and you've got it nicely in position, is then what I did, I just cleaned everything with isopropyl alcohol, rubbing alcohol, just to get rid of any grease. They don't give you any little wipes in the kit actually. Maybe they should do. So just rub it clean to get rid of any grease. And then I actually got my wife's hairdryer and just warmed the stem up and the pad itself, just to improve the adhesion, help it cure. So I'd recommend you do that. Once I was happy with the position, I then pressed it on firmly, and then you should sort of leave it overnight really for it to cure and go off. But if it's a cold garage like this is, just use a hairdryer to warm things up. And then once I was happy with the end result, I then just used multiple zip ties, and where I could, I've sort of used the existing BMW rubber clips onto the existing hoses, and then I just reattach this. So it's a nice installation. I think it looks really good on here, and it looks pretty much OEM. On the left hand side, I've got a auxiliary OEM light switch. I just remove that and then just tuck the left hand cable behind there. I couldn't do it on this one here. There wasn't enough space to do it, but it still looks pretty good actually. And then once you have finished the installation, just make sure you can turn the handlebars and nothing's going to snag or catch, so you're not going to damage any of the wires. And then I would recommend, if you've got whatever bike you've got, get a power module. I've got one fitted on my bike. I actually think Innovv do one as well, actually, a power module. And that just makes things very easy for you to just put your red and black wires into the power module, and power's there, and it's a switched power system. So that's what I've done, and I've just tidied everything neatly here. There was no Velcro on the rear of the Innovv control box, so I've put some Velcro on the underside of that, and then just put another Velcro bit onto the ECU BMW box, because it's quite a slippery bit of aluminium actually. So I've just attached it to there. I don't think the heat's going to be an issue, so it's not going to bounce around under the seat, so that's nice and secure. And as we said, lots of zip ties, so everything is nice and tidy. The seats will sit on there nicely tall. I'm not going to squash anything on here. The control box itself needs a power supply of between 9 volts and 16 volts. So let's talk about the radar unit itself. I've actually mounted it on the underside of my top box carrier plate here, and then the cable coming from the radar unit, I've then just joined it to the other longer cable going to the control box. I've run that cable through a space under here. I couldn't be bothered to take this plastic plate off, just left it there. So fed it through with a couple of zip ties, pulled it through, and then joined them securely with their waterproof connector. It's nice quality there. Just tidied it all up and then run the cable into the radar unit across the top of the silver plastic plate here. But it all looks nice, and when the seat is attached onto here, it's not going to crush anything. That's always something you need to make sure of. You're not going to crush any wires, and the same for the front. I'm not going to crush anything under here when I put the rider's seat back on. So let's just have a look at the radar unit itself and how we've mounted that. Here it is then, the radar unit securely mounted to the underside of my top box mounting plate using the supplied brackets and fittings. So nice and tight. Just make sure that the radar unit itself is pointing directly to the rear of your bike and not off at an angle. And if you want to use a little bit of medium strength thread lock, feel free to do so. The minimum height that the unit should be installed is at least 40 centimeters above the ground, but not more than 130 centimeters above the ground. The unit itself should have the name Innovv facing upwards towards the sky, and they do say that the unit itself should be pointing down from the horizontal 10 degrees. So I just loosened everything off and then got a mini spirit level, and when the base of the unit was level, I then just lowered the whole unit down 10 degrees using the markers on the side. So that should be now pointing down about 10 degrees from the horizon, and they do give you a tolerance of plus or minus 2 degrees. And the final thing you need to do is just make sure that you remove the protective piece of plastic that was on the front of the radar unit. Well, that's it. I hope I have successfully installed the Innovv blind spot detection system. I'm just going to pop the ignition on. It will go through a self-test, and basically what I'm expecting is a long warning tone followed by a couple of short warning tones, and whilst that's happening there'll be a long red flash on the light and then a couple of short flashes. That means the system is good to go, and then we'll go out on the road and we'll test the system for real and see how it works. The system has 3 modes, so we have the blind spot detection system, then there is a lane change assist system, and then finally we have the rear collision warning system. So without further ado, let's go out and hopefully try each of those systems in real life. So here we are then, out and about on the BMW. This is the day after I recorded all that stuff when I mounted the warning lights on the mirrors. However, I did go out for a test ride, and I just found that the position of the warning lights down here wasn't the best position, so overnight I've relocated them and they're now up here. So those of you with eagle eyes that have spotted that, that's the reason why. I've already been out on the bike, tried the system out, works really well, but I wasn't happy with the position of the warning lights, so that's why I've moved them. Right, so let's have a very quick recap on the system. The radar system, basically it points its radar beam out to the rear of the bike, and it extends a working zone out from the back of the bike out to about 50 meters. Now if we divide that 50 meters into 3 lanes, on the left side down here we have one of the lane change assistance modes, and on the right side we have the other lane change assistance mode, and both of those lanes are about 3 meters wide, and then the middle lane, which is extending right back from the detector, that lane is about 2 meters wide, and that is the rear collision warning lane, or the rear collision warning mode. So it's a bit of a rectangle, 50 meters away from the radar unit, and it is about 8 meters wide. So that pretty much is the zone of operation of the radar warning unit. The radar unit is very clever, so it's monitoring that zone of operation, that rectangular box shall we call it, and then when it perceives a threat, if that threat crosses a certain threshold, then it will flash one of the lights or both of the lights. So as we said, if the threat is from the left, from the lane change assistance mode, then it'll flash the left hand light if it crosses a certain threshold. If it's from the right, the lane change assistance, there we go, that white van behind me, the light's now flashing. If it perceives a threat there and it crosses the threshold, then that light will illuminate. If somebody is coming up your chuff and they cross the threshold and they enter that 50 meter box, then both lights will illuminate. So there we go, both lights illuminating. And with the blind spot detection system, that extends out to 6 meters from the back of the bike, and I think you have to be doing at least 3 miles an hour for the blind spot detection system to operate within that 6 meter box, which extends across all the lanes. So that little moped there, I didn't actually see that, and I just, in my mirror, and I just had a look at that red flash of light, and then I saw it. So yeah, that pretty much saved me actually. So van coming up behind me now, and both lights are illuminating, and the lights will illuminate when the threshold has been passed. So it's a time distance study basically in relation to your vehicle. So if your vehicle's at 0 miles an hour, then I've got something written down here, just bear with me, I just got to look down here. So if your vehicle is at 0 miles an hour, something has to be travelling at 43 miles an hour as they hit that 50 meter start of the radar zone, and then it works on 3 seconds, so it gives you a 3-second warning. So obviously if you're on a dual carriageway in the UK doing 60 miles an hour, then a vehicle's got to be doing 43 miles an hour quicker than you, so 103 miles an hour, and then it will cover that 50 meter distance in 3 seconds. So there is that 3-second warning window, so that's what the system works on. I'm just doing a bit of a spin around here actually, we go back the other way. What I will say in relation to the audible warning, which is in the control box, which is under my seat, I can't really hear that. Even stationary, I can't really hear that at all. So maybe in the future Innovv might consider putting like a Bluetooth connection between the unit and your headset, so that you can hear the beeping in your headset, a bit like the RAF fighter pilots have got the inbound missile warning detection system. So I think something like that maybe in the future might be something that they might want to consider. Yeah, the noise pretty much is not very effective actually. Okay folks, what I'm going to do now is just give you a demonstration. So we've already said that the system works out a 3-second period of impending doom, whether you're going to get rear-ended or whether somebody's going to pull up to your right hand side or the left hand side. So I'm now in the left hand lane, and what I'm going to do is just go down to 30 miles an hour, and I know that the speed limit here is 40 miles an hour, so with that 10 mile an hour difference, then the system should activate the light when something is 3 seconds away travelling at 40 miles an hour, which is going to be about 12 metres. So there's a red car behind me, so it should be about 12 metres away, and it will take 3 seconds to pass me. So that's the lane change assist. So that was a 10 mile per hour difference, and again these guys are all doing 40, and there we go, there's another one. And let's just try the white car as well. So he should be doing 40 miles an hour, 12 metres away, the light should flash, and that should be 3 seconds. There we go, it's about 3 seconds, isn't it? So we're just going to slow down now for the lights and just see if the rear collision warning system is going to operate. If it doesn't operate, it means they're not going to rear end me, but as it approaches in the blind spot, which is 6 meters away, if it's doing more than 3 miles an hour, both lights will illuminate, and they haven't, but that white car's just activated the right hand lane change assistance light. Well, that's it folks, the heavens have certainly opened. It's blown an absolute hoolie now, so I'm just going to wind this video up and give you my final thoughts on the blind spot detection system from Innovv. Anything that will help and assist your safety and your situational awareness as to vehicles around you has got to be a good thing. If you've got one of these systems, make some comments in the comment section down below so other folk can read it and decide whether they're going to purchase one of these systems. It's absolutely smashing it down now. Check out the Innovv website, there's a link in the description down below, and as I said earlier on in the video, they have kindly given me a 10% discount code, so use that code if you're looking at buying one of these from Innovv. Nothing should ever replace the lifesaver check, so make sure you do that, and I think it's a really good system if you're an all year round rider. Certainly in this weather, that lane change assistance mode to the left and to the right has got to be a real good system, but make sure you mount it properly in the correct area on your machine. Not very complicated to install, just take your time. That's it folks, I think it's a really good system. Ride safe, and we will see you all again soon in the not too distant future. And that has been the blind spot detection system from Innovv. Cheerio for now. What a terrible day, absolutely awful.